Imagine the following scene. You finally find the person who believes it is the love of your life, builds a successful career, has your financial independence, and suddenly find yourself in the midst of an emotional minefield, all because of a single factor that few dared to discuss openly: money within the family. This is the real story of a woman who, with a brilliant attitude, turned a battle of egos into an unforgettable lesson for everyone. And the best? You will want to write down every detail of what she did. Doria Fedotova was the portrait of the modern woman, independent, successful as a manager in a multinational, owner of his own property and used to making decisions without asking permission to anyone. When he met Maximum, he thought he had found his ideal pair: affectionate, attentive, generous. It just didn't have a small detail: the shadow of her mother, Kira Arkadievna, a woman who transformed the concept of maternal love into an absolute control manual. Chief accountant in a public agency, with a wage more than worthy, Kira not only managed her son's finances but if he were a teenager, but required him to allocate a third of his salary to her. And Maximum, although adult and successful, obeyed without blinking. In the first months of marriage, he would swallow dry. After all, Kira was a widow, had raised her son alone. Who would she be to question? But what started as a spontaneous help soon became a veiled charge. Acid comments about their shopping started subtle: a disapproval look here, a dramatic sigh there. Until, one day, a bag of 8,000 hryars, the result of its own sweat, became the trigger. "With this money, I could buy a winter coat," Kira said, as it would have been stolen from the family cashier. Maximum, of course, he preferred the comfortable silence to defend his wife. What came later was a climb of humiliations disguised as family concern. Kira spent hours inspecting the house like an auditor, criticizing from storage to seasoning. Each new acquisition of Doria, a dress, an accessory, an appliance, was analyzed as a crime against the home economy. "How dare you spend like this, knowing me, a poor pensioner, I pass needs," he repeated, ignoring the fact that he still worked and earned well. Maximum, in the presence of the mother, she was the frightened boy again who dared not contradict her. Until the day arrived that it would decide that it was enough. After receiving a bonus for a successful project, she invested in a pair of legitimate leather Italian boots, 15,000 hryars, a fair value for those who value quality and durability. He even praised, but hell settled the next day, when Kira discovered the purchase. 15,000 in boots. "Did you lose shame?" he shouted while his son shrunk on the couch, unable to articulate a word in defense of his wife. The scene was pathetic, an adult woman being treated as an irresponsible teenager while her husband watched omitted. It was then that he would do something no one expected. Instead of crying or screaming, she smiled. With a calm that froze everyone, he took a paste on the table and opened it right in front of them. "Kira Arkadievna, did you know that 3 months ago I inherited an apartment?" he asked, as who comments time. The silence that followed was of cinema. Maximo widened his eyes. He vaguely knew the death of a distant aunt, but never imagined what would come next. "A dear aunt left me a 3-bedroom property in a historic building in the city center. Valued at 12 million hryars. The effect was instantaneous. Kira paled, his voice died in his throat. Maximo dropped the box from the boots that, seconds earlier, had tore off from his wife's hands like a trophy of his maternal loyalty. Doria would continue, "Serena, I thought of selling and investing this money in our family. Tav. Easy, a bigger house, a trip. But now I realize that I made a mistake of calculation." She took a strategic break, looking into each other's eyes. "After all, why would I divide my heritage with people who don't even treat me as the same?" The lesson was given. Not with screams, not with ultimatums, but with a silent and devastating demonstration of power. Because, in the end, respect is not begged. He is conquered. And Doria had just showed how. Her eyes traveled the heavy silence that settled in the room, as if each word of her had sucked oxygen from the environment. "Inheritance is not joint ownership," he said, with a calm that froze more than any scream. "By law, it belongs exclusively to the heir, even if acquired during the wedding. So this apartment, it's just mine." The sentence fell like a blade, accurate and irreversible. Kira Arkadievna, finally recovering her voice, tried to soften the tone with a forced smile. Dosha, honey, you know that's not what I meant. I just worry about the family budget. It only nodded, as if he was hearing a child explain why he stole cookies from the closet. I understand. So tomorrow I will enter the divorce papers. A collective sigh cut the air. The apartment is already renovated. I can move immediately. So you two are free to manage the family budget, without my participation. Maxim launched himself toward her as a drowned looking for a board of salvation. It would give, for God's sake, don't do that. We love each other. Let's destroy everything because of some shoes. She interrupted him with a dry gesture. It's not the shoes. It's the fact that you let your mother humiliate me. It's the fact that when I needed it, you chose her instead of me. Kira Arkadievna, realizing that she lost control, tried a more feminine approach. Dorochka, let's talk like women. I'm willing to give in. Too late, he cut off. You made it clear yourself. Your child must buy for you, not for me. Well, that's okay, only without me in the middle. The following weeks were a whirlwind of calls, promises, and desperate attempts at reconciliation. Maxim and his mother offered commitments, asked for forgiveness, swore to change. Kira Arkadievna even bought an expensive gift for her ex Nora, as if an object could erase years of disrespect. But Doria had already crossed a line of no return. She had understood something fundamental. It is no use fixing the cracks when the foundation is rotten. Maxim would never be the man who defended her. And Kira Arkadievna would never see in her more than a walking wallet. The divorce was fast, almost clinical. Doria took his things and the key to the inherited apartment, his passport to freedom. Maxim got half of what they had built together, i.e. very little. The rest, the dream house, the inheritance, the recovered self-esteem, remained with her. 6 months later, they bumped into the street. Maxim was aged, with deep dark circles and a tired smile. My mother doesn't give me peace, he confessed. Every day, she reminds me that, for my weakness, we lose millions. Now I demand that I work on 2 jobs to play the lifestyle I could have with your money. Doria heard with a distant compassion, but without repentance. She had chosen herself. And this choice, finally, had led her to a life where no one questioned her decisions, where her salary was yours, where purchases had not become interrogation. 2 years later, she said yes again, this time Mikhail, a co-worker with the straight spinal spine and a healthy relationship with her own mother. The mother-in-law received her with a sincere hug, no veiled charges or power games. Meanwhile, Maxim still lived with Kira Arkadievna, now reduced to a human ATM. The mother controlled each expense, sabotaged any serious relationship that he tried. True and, in the rare times a woman resisted her onslaught, showed the same script, either me or her. And Maxim, as always, chose his mother. 5 years have passed since shoe day. Doria now had a daughter, a country house and a prosperous business. The inherited, rented apartment earned him an extra income, a monthly reminder that that battle was worth it. The shoes, the same ones who triggered everything, were still in their closet, untouched. A silent trophy. Maxim, in turn, was still stuck in the same apartment, working bent to support the whims of a mother who, ironically, now blamed him for not holding the woman who could have saved them. Kira Arkadievna, in her moments of lucidity, even admitted to herself, if she had acted differently, if she had seen it like an ally and not as a threat, today she would be enjoying that heritage instead of depending on an exhausted child. But pride would never let her admit it aloud. As she would give her, she never looked back missing him. That conflict had been your moment of clarity. When people see you only what you can give you, it's time to stop giving. Her courage to draw boundaries not only saved her, she opened doors to a life where, for the first time, she was chosen, not convenient. And that, no money from the world could buy.